Happy to be here. And I think that this is a very interesting topic because it kind of gets you under the hood of what's going on and from a managed security perspective. Just a real quick introduction on who PurpleSec is and what we do. We're a Washington, D.C. based firm. We've been in business for about 4 years now and helping enterprise and small businesses really try and do security better. And we're going to dive into what the specifics of that means. But I think one of the biggest things to know about us is we are nerds. We are passionate about this stuff above and beyond. And we really want to do things that go above just the checkbox when it comes to security without breaking the bank. And that's a big thing for us. And you're going to see here through the presentation, Vulcan's empowered us and enabled us to do a lot of really, well, Josh is going to talk about some of the cool stuff he's been building, but it's enabled us to be competitive in the marketplace while, again, striving to do security better. And I think Josh is going to talk a little bit more about some of the common issues that he's seen in vulnerability management and kind of explain a little bit more about those problems.
Mainly, we took an evaluation of the security industry as a whole, and we decided we didn't like the way vulnerability management was being done, to be honest, and we thought we would change that, not only to bring better security for our clients, but also just to make our lives easier too, because as anyone in the security industry will tell you, it's a lot of work all the time. And if you're passionate like us, it's the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night that we really wanted to solve, right? The things that you're thinking about before you finally fall asleep at the end of your day. So when it comes to specifically vulnerability management, we found this to be true with our biggest client, but even a lot of our small SMB clients as well, is really broken down to four things: the speed, the cost, the skills required, and the hassle of vulnerability management. So with speed, that's a really big issue because attackers are very busy. They use automation. They can exploit vulnerabilities the moment they're available, typically, and they're usually ahead of the curve on that. So we wanted to help solve that problem. The next problem we saw was cost, right? Vulnerability management and really security as a whole is expensive. And I don't think anybody will disagree with me on that it's only getting more and more expensive to do vulnerability, or to do security rather, not just vulnerability management. There's a couple costs there: the tools as well as the personnel. According to ZipRecruiter, the average annual pay for a vulnerability management engineer is about $125,000. And that's for just one person who also has to work with these tools, which can get very expensive as well. And talking about that engineer, that's a skill. You have to hire an internal team. You need some diverse skills. They can't all just be, vulnerability management engineers. You've also got to have penetration testers, system administrators. You've got to have IT staff that work closely with these people. And you have to fit all this in your budget along with the tools to enable them. And then there's just the hassle. Security is not easy. There's always new things to do. There's an ever-changing attack landscape. There's a bunch of people to deal with. There's a bunch of tools to deal with. There's, processes, projects, and it can quickly grow out of hand, and it can be very difficult to deal with. So on the next slide, we're talking about our solution here. So what we did to solve this was we decided we're going to close the gap on our solution. We wanted to shorten the time it took to actually solve these problems. We took a look at the costs, and we decided, where are we going to be able to cut costs? And we don't mean that just by getting rid of things or by cheapening the product by any means, but finding a better way of delivering the value to our customers. As for the skills, you don't really get rid of the skills, but what we found is that a lot of very skilled people are being used to do very low skill tasks very often in security. And so with Vulcan's automation and our processes, we're able to take a lot of that off of the hands of our skilled personnel and move it to computers, where we're able to do. And then as for the hassle, we're making it easier on ourselves, which means we can also make it easier on our customers, reducing man hours, reducing the costs and reducing the involvement of the customer all makes for an easier solution, right? Jason, if you could move us to the next couple slides here, I can actually break down.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize I had control of the slides there.
Yes,
My
sir.
bad.
Oh,
All right,
man.
so
Thanks,
having
boss.
some technical issues. Yeah, well, all right. So I think what give it a second here to move forward.
Yeah.
And as we're going through here, I saw some ones in the chat there. I appreciate you guys dropping by. It's not doing anything here.
We're having some issues with it. That's
Yeah,
okay. So you see here we put cyborgs on this slide, and that's something that I wanted to kind of address a little bit more. So we talked about equipping our security personnel with automation, with Vulcan, with other tools, and it kind of started out as a joke, but we really liked it and kind of just went with it. That we're essentially creating cyborgs of security here because they're using the computers and the tools that they're equipped with to do all of those low skill tasks, which saves us a lot of time, and it saves them the time so that they can really focus on the stuff that they like, the more fun things, doing actual security validations, having those valuable conversations with the security staff at our clients, right, and helping them be a little bit better. So our cyborgs are really what run our business and help our managed services be a little bit better. So going on to the next slide here. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Better cybersecurity with PurpleSec and Vulcan's tool set. So we're moving to risk-based vulnerability management for our customers. It's resulting in return on security investment, better information for the CIO and CISO teams, because now we can focus on having those conversations. And all this comes together into what we consider better security for everyone.
Right, and I can add a little bit more context here. So Josh is going to go over some of the specifics of how we've delivered some of the results for our clients, but just a few numbers to throw out here. So Vulcan's really empowered our team to do more and being able to automate these tasks. And if you've seen GPT chat, it's been all of the rage in the last week or so. There's been some really interesting ways that offensive security professionals are using AI tools to come up with new exploits or things like that. And so really the only way to combat that automation is with automation. And so with this approach for our client, we've been able to reduce their mean time to remediation by over 70%. And that's a huge win for their organization. Another big thing, we talk about Rosie, you're going to hear that a lot. We're not talking about the robot from the Jetsons. We're talking about return on security investment. And that's one of the things that we're always going to go back to as we're trying to be just competitive in the marketplace, but also deliver and show the value to our customers. And so in this case, we've been able to save about 20,000 man hours is what we're projecting within an annual basis, which if you go back to that ZipRecruiter, that $125,000 an hour or a year, that ends up being about $1 million in cost savings for our client, just by introducing this approach and delivering on better security. In addition, the C-suite has so much more visibility into their organization's risk. We've been able to empower them and their boards to make really informed security decisions. And not only that, but Vulcan really enables us to craft reports and dashboards to suit the specific audience. So if you're talking to a technical team lead, you're talking to a manager, that conversation is going to be very different than when you're talking to a CISO or a CIO. And then it's going to be even more different when they have to take that to the board to justify the value of the program. And what all of this really does is it gives them better visibility into their risk, and it helps them gain buy-in at the top for continuing these investments and continuing to bring in automation and better security, smarter solutions into the mix there. And then the last point here is better security, blanket statement, but really what it means is shorter attack windows, reduced risk, and better and management is better equipped to deal with those risks. And our clients, as we've seen, are more prepared than ever before. It's not a point-in-time scan and a monthly patching cycle where it leaves you at risk for the other 29 days in the month. So we're really trying to bring that to the forefront. And so let's talk about the solution here and really dive into the case study that we have. So we're talking about an enterprise organization, somewhere around 2,000 endpoints. They historically were very traditional in their processes. And so what we really wanted to do was bring in faster remediation. So again, reducing the exposure time and really helping to reduce that risk, because again, we know attackers are exploiting these vulnerabilities, I mean, as soon as they come out. And like I said before, they're using automation. So the next part here is the process, bringing in smarter processes into the mix, the automation and the orchestration that we've been able to deliver through Vulcan has improved the overall vulnerability management process for our client, hands down. Again, Josh will speak to the specifics in there. It's, let's see here. So when we talk about better security, we're also trying to transform the way that businesses think about security. And so it's not just the tooling, because you need the people to actually manage the tools and make them efficient. It's not just a case of hiring more bodies, because as we said, it's exorbitantly expensive and it's not a cost-effective way of managing risk. And processes alone, I mean, you need to have the tools and the people. So the tried and true acronym PPT, people, processes, and technology, paired with that automation, our cyborgs is what's able to deliver those results for our clients. So Josh, let's speak a little bit about those specifics and then show the audience here how we've actually applied that.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a reason we put it in this specific order as well: faster, smarter, and better. So these aren't just cool acronyms to talk about, brag about ourselves, but this is actually our methodology in phases that we like to apply to customers to get them going from what we call the traditional way into, our way, the cool way. So faster, first of all, our main focus in this phase is getting the customer to a better place as quickly as possible, right? Like, we came in, we're trying to give you the most impact right away. And there's a big reason for that. According to InfoSec Institute, the mean time to remediation in the industry right now is about 60 to 150 days. And, we were having a meeting about that at our company. We're like, is that terrible? And yeah, that's terrible. Honestly, that's what we felt. We think, not only can we do better, but we think everybody can do better. And the reason we need to do better is because hackers are extremely quick nowadays. They can exploit vulnerabilities within hours. In some cases, it takes only minutes. And we're talking from the release of a vulnerability, not just from them discovering one in your system. So it can be very quick. If they have persistence, they're kind of just waiting for the 0 days to come out so they can attack. They're using automation to do a lot of this as well. A lot of times it's stuff that they've written, or they're repurposing industry blue team tools for nefarious purposes. So it's really like an arms race, kind of how we consider it, a bit like the Cold War, right? They come up with something better, we come up with something better, and so back and forth, and never really ending. So we thought automation then was a smart idea for us as well. What Jason was talking about with the GPT tool, I mean, he's not kidding. Looking in some of the forums that we're doing research in, there's already people in there talking about, like, wow, this could be a really great blue team tool. Or alternatively, people saying, man, I can't wait to throw, these not very well written payloads I've built for pen testing into here and turn them into something really cool, right? So, there's always somebody looking out to improve on that side. And the hackers are definitely looking for it because there's money in it for them. So we want to use automation to reduce that window. So for us, faster looks like a reduction in mean time to remediation. For this specific client that we're talking about here, over the course of 3 months, which is about how long we've had Vulcan deployed and our new processes in with them, has been 75%. So we've gone from months to really just over a week now on average. It kind of goes up and down a little bit depending on what's happening out there. So we're beating industry averages already by 90%, which is really, really good for us and especially good for the client. Closing that window is super important. We're giving them less time to be attacked. We've also took a big jump on, okay, there's a lot of stuff out there that just needs to get fixed. And again, they're kind of low skill tasks for our very expensive security engineers. So Vulcan, gave us the opportunity to use automation and build a lot of really cool process flows so that we could quickly attack that. And so we went from around 220,000 to about 30,000 over the last 6 months, an 86% reduction. So obviously really good on the vulnerability side, but kind of hidden in that is also there's way less stuff for both teams to deal with. And now we're able to focus on some better things in security. We kind of go on this see it, fix it sort of mentality. It's like as soon as we see it, we'd like to be able to fix it. And with Vulcan's tools, we can actually queue up all those fixes and have them ready. And really, we're just waiting now on the organization, right? We're faster than the organization, and we're limited by their policies to how quickly we can remediate things. But that also gives us an opportunity to help them kind of shorten those policies so we can close that gap even further. Ideally for us, all of our clients would be fixed the moment they're remediated. I'm sure a lot of people who run production systems probably cringe at that thought, because that means updates and things like that. But, within reason, we want to be as fast as possible because we just don't want to give the hackers any opportunity, right? There's nothing there for them to exploit. We don't have to worry about it. So that's the faster phase, and we've had some really good results with that. The next phase after faster is smarter. It's on the next slide. Okay. The smarter phase, what we mean by smarter is that's where we're really getting that measurement on ROSI, right? When we're implementing a vulnerability management program, we really want business to be able to quantify where their cybersecurity exists in their organization and focus on that risk and get to the hot spots, the really important things, using the most and the most skilled resources as necessary for this. So smarter security means we free up people to do just that, right? Now they're not bogged down with spreadsheets and emails and herding cats, as we call it, right? And we want to have those data-driven discussions with the personnel, the people who are responsible for fixing it, the people who are responsible for being audited, right? Even sometimes working with auditors directly to provide this information. So the results of that, we've already realized significant cost savings across all of our customers. Our particular client here saves 1,600 man hours over about 30 days. And that's kind of a rolling. That'll change a little bit based on how much work there is to do, i.e. how many vulnerabilities there actually are out there. And there's some very complex math that I don't entirely know on how that gets generated. But essentially what we're looking at is, we're taking automated tasks and we're, those have a time tied to those, right? So every task that we automate, we're saving people from actually doing that task. That's something that's built into the Vulcan platform for us, so we can really manage that. And that savings, so we take those man hours saved, right? And we apply, what is the industry average, 125,000 for an engineer. And it equals over $1 million annually for our customers and us as well. Everything that we're not spending time on, we're able to pass that savings on to our customers. And that allows for a lot more enablement. Right? Part of smarter security means we've enabled our teams to focus more on risk management, not just the vulnerabilities. So instead of emails, worksheets, all that kind of stuff, right? It's all these high skill tasks where now we're actually evaluating more difficult risks to the organization, right? Our team was able to work with the client to create an alert rule with their SIM so that they can actually look for some issues, right, that they were curious about. So that's the kind of work we'd rather be doing. We'd rather clients be doing, right? Is solving, hey, we need to track down something and we need some help working with, our third party on finding these things in our logs or whatever it is. We find that's a lot more valuable for customers than just going, well, we patched some software. So how we did this again is automate those low skill tasks: scanning, organization, categorization, scheduling, notification. I mean, these are very important things when you are doing vulnerability management lifecycle. And again, people get stuck doing these. So Vulcan lets us automate that, and that's great. That also means we've had a 50% reduction in the process length. I've got a little graphic here. I'm not sure if it's really as visible as we'd like it to be, but what we've done is we've taken a much, much longer process of weekly scanning, doing all these actions of categorizing, prioritization, planning up the remediations, doing the risk acceptances and validation, reporting on it. We've compressed that down to automating the first 3 parts of that, and then the team gets to really just focus on acceptance and approvals, right? Making sure we approve everything that's happening, anything that's not patchable, right? If it's something that is too difficult to fix or isn't really that much of a risk, we can have those conversations with the information security teams, act more like consultants rather than just engineers. And that again translates to a lot more valuable for the customers as a whole. And then we have, on-demand reporting and dashboards, a bunch of really cool stuff available through Vulcan so that we can show them exactly what we're talking about in metrics and with, cool dashboards and pie charts and all that, depending on who we're talking to. That is, to us, what we consider being a lot smarter about security versus, just doing the daily. It's a very important phase. And then the last phase and kind of the wrap up phase, which is also more like the results of doing the first 2, is better security, in our own words. So what do we mean by better security? Security that's focused on business risk, security that is focused on the business's security posture, their security culture, their risk appetite. We have better trackable KPIs. We can have those data-driven conversations with any of the personnel that we need to with our clients, as well as internally when we're looking for opportunities to provide better security for our personnel. We now have those metrics and we have those dashboards and we can have those conversations. And on the client side, a very important part is having a more informed senior management. So the CIO, the CISO, the VPs of security, the big decision makers, and the ones ultimately responsible when they get ransomwared, they need to be very well informed. They need to try to be as ahead of the curve as they can, right, to keep ahead of all these risks to their businesses. So better metrics and processes allow us to report more of this to them. Our team puts together really cool reports that show where the focus needs to go now in the organization. So we're doing a lot more forward looking versus saying, well, again, here's the stuff that we've patched. It's not really that useful if your question is, well, how do I prepare for the future, right? You don't just say patch more. You say, well, we need our security posture to be better, right? We need to have a lot less risk mass in our organization, less things for our teams to deal with. For this particular client, we're looking at a 75% reduction in risk mass. Now, it doesn't just mean vulnerabilities. There's a lot of other little things it is, including some administrative controls and stuff like that. So we've really focused on giving them a lot less to deal with, more dense security structure. Their security posture improvement over the last 3 months has been about 11%, which to me, I don't think that's good enough, but I have way too high expectations for some security things just because I'm super passionate about it. But 11% is actually a lot of work. You see you see that same risk mask of 2.1 million little points there only equates to about 8% in security posture, because it's not just about the risk, right? There's also a lot more to it. There's visibility, coverage, scan coverage, management of their assets, lifecycle management, and that kind of stuff can get very chaotic if you have a lot of things to deal with. And again, the Vulcan platform helps us deal with that, and our cyborgs get to have a lot more fun and focus on reducing the risk for our clients. Our kind of dream is that people start to think of security kind of like home security. You leave your house, excuse me, in the morning, and you lock your door. You probably have cameras now and a smart doorbell and all kinds of other little things in there. It's just something that people don't even give a second thought to how necessary it is. But what we've seen, is not everybody out there treats cybersecurity that way, and partially it's because it's expensive and it's slow and it's hard to deal with. And so we kind of like that model of like, look, Simply Safe, for example, not to give them anything, but these little easy to use home things, right? They send you a little kit, you set it up, you're hooked up and good to go. That's how we kind of want cybersecurity to be, right? Like you call us and say, okay, we want someone to be monitoring it and managing it, and I don't want to spend too much time setting it up, and I also don't want to cost too much, right? So we can provide that. That's what we're trying to do in the cybersecurity space, and so having our people equipped with these really cool tools and things that are easy lift, right? So we've got several other services and little bits that we bundle together in our cybersecurity to try to provide like a complete package. And again, our goal is making this like a deploy and set up and you're secure type of thing, and monitored by our cyborgs. And so ultimately, it's that faster, smarter, better, and better security is the goal that we have for everyone. And there it is, right there. Our little blurb: faster, smarter, better, managed services. Vulcan powers our security experts. Our security experts are managing and trying to keep ahead of the bad guys for our clients.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. That's our presentation. Again, we want to thank everyone for attending and listening to us speak. And again, thank you, Vulcan, for allowing us to be at this great summit. If you do have any questions, I'll drop a link, or not a link, I'll drop our email and chat. If you have any questions, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, if you have any questions related to this presentation or a client, if you just leave a comment in the chat here, we'll work with Vulcan and get those answered for you. If you are interested in just having conversation with us, you can send us an email to sales@purplesec.us, not .com. There's actually another purplesec.com in another country. It gets confusing sometimes. So we're .us, US-based company. We're nerds. We like to just have friendly conversations. We're not always just trying to sell you on something that we think is, the best solution. We look at things holistically at your organization, and we try and be partners as you kind of drive through your security initiatives and for whatever your goals are. So feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you.